All right, welcome. This is Nick Marine, and this is Let's Read Japanese, course series for the reading of Japanese text alongside its audio counterpart. Today's episode, today's episode, Shinya Shokudo, Season 2, Episode 8, or 18th episode of the entire series. All right, so the way this is really not much I can say. It's episodic in nature, so every episode is its own story, self-contained timeline. So you just see the times that the particular guest happens to visit the restaurant, so it's not exactly by coincidence. So you do see customers repeat now and again, but yeah. For the most part, yeah, it's all self-contained, which is kind of part of its interesting charm. All right, so what is today? No, okay, don't have anything else to add, so let's just go into the introduction. Cool. So if you like this, if you end up liking the video, give it a thumbs up or make a comment. Sure. If you like the series, you can subscribe to see more series like this. This is all part of the Let's Learn Japanese project. If you do like that project, what I'm doing to help the Japanese learning community, I can be supported by, there is a Patreon for that. You can become a supporter. The links directly to it below, as well as links to the Let's Learn Japanese website that Otaku Dave put together, the Let's Learn Japanese community Discord that a number of us hang out in sometimes, or at least keep track of. And then finally, if you'd like to hire me on commission, that can also be done via the Patreon. The hourly rates and the payments are done via Patreon. By commission, usually it's going to be technical assistance or advice. That's mainly what I do when people ask if they can have like 1 hour of my time to help out, usually to get started or to kind of help direct focus if they're like either starting their journey or in the middle of their journey. Okay, with that, let's get started. Yeah, so number 18. I'll add that I had planned on doing this for 5 seasons, but what I'll do after season 3 and before season 4 is I'll do a section for the movies. There's 2 movies that I understand. There are 2 movies for this. Each one's roughly about 2 hours long. So what I'll do is like a half hour, break the movie into like half-hour segments. Half-hour segments, and then so it'll be 4 parts per movie, and I think that should work out quite well. And in addition, during that time, I'll do the 3 episodes for Shinya Shokudo. I'm sorry, not Shinya Shokudo. I'll do it for Kino Nani Tabata. So I'll get those specials done as well, since those are actually pretty good episodes. I think they go quite well with the series. Technically it's listed as season 2, but really they're just specials for that season for that series as well. And like I mentioned, after this season is done, season 2, I will be doing KyoNNG. That's going to take about 14 days, or going to do 14 different videos on that, since it's 7 episodes and each one's roughly about an hour long. So I'll split those into 2 parts each episode into 2 parts. All right, so with that said, let's get started. I'm assuming no one's going to be watching this because it's really late. For most people, it's like 4:30. It's only like 4 o'clock here in Japan, but that's just like like really late in the U.S. and it's kind of really early in Europe. So it's just yeah, not the best time if you're going to be doing live streaming for people to watch. But it's all right. Here we go. All right, I'll put the earphones in.
一日が終わり、人々が家路へと急ぐ頃、俺の一日は始まる。営業時間は夜12時から朝7時頃まで。人は深夜食堂って言ってるよ。メニューはこれだけ。あとは勝手に注文してくれりゃ、できるもんなら作るよってのが俺の営業方針さ。客が来るかって？それが結構来るんだよ。
All right, let's see what today is about. Shinya Shokudo. All right, so 18th story. Hiya Shimetaya or Hiya Chuka. So chilled, I guess chilled styled, something dealing with Chinese chilled styled food. we at here? Yeah, should be good.
誰かが言ってたな。暑がりの女より寒がりの女の方が可愛いもんだって。
Does that say it?
こんばんは。
Kasumi.
その点でいくとこの子なんか。大丈夫かい、ひとみちゃん。
はい、Tomi and Kasumi.
寒い。鍋焼きうどんちょうだい。まだ食べない。
最高にか。
Nabe yaki udon. I don't know what that is, but oh, I mean it's udon. Okay.
可愛い女ってことになるんだけどな。
マスター、私ビール。
あよ。はい、お味。
Now you notice no one's saying like bless you or anything. They're not saying anything in reaction to the sneeze like you would normally do in English speaking.
ねえ、マスターもなんとか言ってやってよ。また貢ぐだけ貢いで捨てられちゃってんのよ。また貢ぐだけ貢いで捨てられちゃってんのよ。いい加減気づきな、利用されてんの。年下の男に服買う金あんだったら自分のコートでも買いなさいよ。寒い寒い言ってないで。
寒いの意味が違う。
お金は使うもんじゃないの、出させるもんなの。だいたい金のない若い男ばっか追っかけっから。
若い男の何が悪いのよ。いいじゃん、私のお金なんだから。
いいんじゃないですかね。そうそう、人それぞれですからね。
Okay.
ねえ、ほら。
こうやって開き直るところがまたイラっとくんのよ。
Hiraki naoru. Correct. Okay. Changing your disposition. That's usually in reference to. Yeah, right there. Hiraki naoru.
こうやって開き直るところがまたイラっとくんのよ。
開き直ってなんかな。
やっぱここですから。うん。
そんなひとみちゃんがまた新しい男を捕まえてきたんだけど、珍しく年上の男で、いやそれ以上に珍しかったのがさ。
いらっしゃい。
マスター、冷やし中華できるよね。
Yash chuka. So let's see if there we go. Chuka soba. Okay. Chinese style soba. Hiyashite sada. Okay. Chilled on the plate. Okay. Stacked up with some extras. And with vinegar. Kieta soup. Vinegar soup. Okay, so it's a ramen served cold with shredded ham. Okay, ramen's hiyashi chuka. Okay, cold ramen. Okay, actually that's a very good meal. I actually like that type of ramen. Okay, hiyashi chuka.
冷やし中華。
Hiyashi chuka.
橋本さんが食べたいんだって。できるよね。
いやそれはまあ、うん。Watch.
Yeah. So again, I'm not a fan of hot ramen personally. It's just maybe a little too greasy for my taste, but I actually enjoy that type of ramen because you just mix it all together, heat up. It's pretty good. You can have also a little sauce off to the side if you want to dip.
美味しいです。ありがとう。
ねえ一口ちょうだい。
Bless you.
見てるだけで冷えてくるね。
え
大丈夫。
え。この醍醐味がいいんだよね。
大悟。マジ。大悟。大悟。
この醍醐味がいいんだよね。
大丈夫。
あ、美味しい。
出会いはね、ペットショップで。
おいで。来たの。
かわいいな。待ってたの。
そのワンちゃんの前でちょくちょく話すようになって。
あ、その子売れちゃったんですよ。
Make sure about that frequently or sometimes, right? Choku. Once can yeah, okay. A few times. Choku.
そのワンちゃんの前でちょくちょく話すようになって。
あ、その子売れちゃったんですよ。
それから初めて2人で飲んだの。
乾杯。
乾杯。
そしたら彼が冷やし中華好きだって言うから。
Yeah, so that's just a little standing drink bar, so that's very common in Japan. So it's a really small place. But again, yeah, it's pretty much what it says. Is stand up and have a drink real quick and oh, sorry.
それであの日。
それで。
ほら、この季節どこも冷やし中華なんてやってないじゃない。
そういや昔さ、ジャズの山下洋輔なんかがさ、
山下洋介. Okay, I don't know who he is, but yeah. I assume it's a jazz player. Yamashita Yosuke.
どうしてそういや昔さ、ジャズの山下洋輔なんかがさ、どうして冬に冷やし中華食べられないんだと思って、全日本冷やし中華なんとかっての作ったよな。略して全中連。いやいや、全霊中だったかな。
全中連。全霊中。Okay.
懐かしいな。
暑がりの男と冷え性の女、相性ぴったりだと思わない？
相性ぴったり。
暑がりの男と冷え性の女、相性ぴったりだと思わない？
若い男が良かったんじゃないの？
それが気づいちゃったのよ、年上の男のあったかさに。私ちっちゃい時にお父さん死んじゃってるからさ、なんていうか思い出すのかな。
まあ年下の男に貢ぐよりかマシか。
Say good, right? Let's see.
まあ年下の男に貢ぐよりかマシか。で何やってる人？
住み込みでね、製本屋さんの仕事。
住み込みでね。製本屋。It's a
住み込みでね、製本屋さんの仕事。
I assume that, I mean, I'm guessing here. I'm assuming that's someone who actually lives above the store that they operate. 住み込んでね。
休みの前の日だけ泊まりに来るの。だから週末は電気毛布がいらないの。
あっそう。
それから週末になるといらっしゃい。おいしいね。
But surprised she doesn't eat like hotter food and then he eats the colder food. Guess that's supposed to be jazz playing.
一日が終わり家路へと急ぐ人々。ただ何かやり残したような気がして寄り道したい夜もある。
She looks different.
こんばんは。
おい、いらっしゃい。
He looks familiar.
マスター、すごい人連れてきた。この方、犬塚平八さん。
方、犬塚平。犬塚平八 You make sure. 犬塚平八。Okay.
この方、犬塚平八さん。知る人ぞ知る伝説のデカ。通称粘りの犬塚。
粘りの犬塚。素敵。知る人。Let me make sure I hear that again. Okay.
この方、犬塚平八さん。知る人ぞ知る伝説のデカ。
知る人ぞ知る。誰でも知っているというわけ。So he just knows anybody. 知るの人には存在や価値が verifies the well known only to those in the know. Ah. Okay, 誰も知っているというわけではないが、自分の人にはその存在や価値が認められている。Okay, 伝説のデカ。Interesting. To show, I know this should be like his common name. Nebari. Okay.
この方、犬塚平八さん。知る人ぞ知る伝説のデカ。通称粘りの犬塚。今度うちの週刊日本で特集組むんでいろいろインタビューしてて。
おい、勝手に伝説にしないでくれよ。
おい、勝手に伝説。
俺はまだ現役なんだよ。
現役。tired from it. 肩書きだけではなく、実際に仕事も持ち、活動していることもだ。
俺はまだ現役なんだよ。と言ってもあと1週間で定年には違いないけど。と言ってもあと1週間で定年には違いないけど。
とりあえず熱燗。
はいよ。
熱燗
はいよ。
とりあえず扱う。
はいよ。
犬塚さん、ここメニューはこれしか書いてないですけど、言えば大抵のものは作ってくれるんですよ。
面白いね。
ほら、あの子なんて冷やし中華、寒がりだったのに男の趣味に染められて。
Influenced, submitter, that color.
寒がりだったのに男の趣味に染められて。女心っていじましいっすね。
いじましい。こせこせしていた。見苦しい。キチキチしていた。ペリー。女心っていじましいです。
女心っていじましいっすね。
冷やし中華って思い出すなあ。いや、昔追いかけていた犯人を目の前で逃がしたことがあってね。
犬塚さんもそんなことあるんですね。
そんなことだらけだよ。あれは悔しくてさ、必死で聞き込みに回ったんだが、不思議なことに、あれは悔しくてさ、必死で聞き込みに回ったんだが、不思議なことにその聞く人によってその人物像が見事にこうバラッバラなんだよ。
人物像、statue, right? Person, human figure. 人物像。
その人物像が見事にこうバラッバラなんだよ。優しい人だったとか粗暴だったとか。
粗暴だったとか。
優しい。その人物像が見事にこうバラッバラなんだよ。優しい人だったとか粗暴だったとか。それなのに全員があいつは本当冷やし中華が好きだったってことだけは口を揃えて言う。俺
So everybody says, 口を揃えて、いや、unanimous. 口を揃えて言う。
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 俺バカみたいにさ。
みたいにさ。
それからは東京中の中華屋で昼も夜も冷やし中華ばっか食ってた。
執念ですね。
ただ
Wait a minute. I know it's like cheat score is persistent, right? 深く思い込んで。Really? 諦めて。Tenacious better, yeah. 執念ですね。
バカだ。
多分僕だ。
ちなみに犬塚さん、その犯人っていくつくらいですか？
ああ、そうだな。今年で20年だから生きてりゃちょうど50だ。せっかく時効がなくなったっていうのに俺の方は定年。
What was his crime again?
人生はうまくいかねえな。
背は高いんですか？人相は？
It feels like they're playing a joke on her, like they know who this guy, like, never mind it.
地味な顔でね、俺は忘れられないんだが、それを人に伝えるのには苦労したな。あ、そうだ、この眉のこの辺りに
大仏ぼくろ。
うん。
Everyone, okay, so far he hasn't described anything that's out of the unusual. It's like, oh wow, so he's, 50 years old, a mole, almost, I'm sorry, like nearly 60 years old, a mole in between his eyebrows. Yeah, it's big mole. So Daibutsu is, so I guess it's like, yeah, so I guess right there it'd be kind of like the mole for the Buddha. So I guess Daibutsu Bokuro. And let's look at Bokuro again for a mole. Look at the kanji. It's not saying it. God damn. Or it'd be Hokuro. Daibutsu Hokuro.
ほくろっていうかイボ。
There we are. Hokuro. Yeah, okay. Hokuro.
ほくろっていうかイボっていうか。うん。
大仏ぼくろ。
Daibutsu Bokuro.
ほくろっていうかイボっていうか。
ねえちょっと次あの彼氏といつ会うの？
何よ、冷やし中華くらいでそんな。それなら全日本冷やし中華なんとかの人全員に聞いてくればいいじゃない。
いやまさかってことが。
バカみたい。
いや、ごめんなさいね、嫌な気分にさしまって。職業病だよ、ちょっとしたことで。
職業病. Occupational disease. Okay. 病だ。だよ、ちょっと。
職業病だよ、ちょっとしたことですぐに犯人だと思ってしまう。悪かった。
ごちそうさま。
ありがとうね。犬塚さん。
もし。
もし。Thinking.
ひとみちゃん、ごめんね、待った？
Yeah, I'm saying like there's nothing out that was described that stands out. It's like, oh, he had a mole here. It's like, yeah, lots of Japanese people have moles near their eyebrows. So.
うん、行こっか。
はい、今店を出ました。了解です。
対応ですか？
いや、このまま泳がせろってことだ。
何ですか？今しかないっすよ。
Now, by the way, there's no guarantee that they're after him. It could be these are after her. Let me make sure. Anyway, let's go back where he.
このまま泳がせろってことだ。このまま。対応。了解です。了解です。はい、今店を出ました。
Ashitatsu Adachi. Okay, Adachi.
了解です。
対応ですか？
いや、このまま泳がせろってことだ。
Yogaseru. Swim after. Oyogasu. Karada nado. Let them go free, yeah. Yogaseru.
何ですか？
このまま泳がせろってことだ。
何ですか？今しかないっすよ。
黙って犬塚さんの言うこと聞きゃいいんだよ。
あのね、橋本さん。橋本さん、犬好きでしょ？飼おうと思ったことないの？
住み込みだと飼えないよ。それにもし飼ったら。その場所から動けなくなるような気がするし。 どうしたの急に。
私ね、橋本さんが昔どんなだったかなんて関係ないから。今の橋本さんが好きだから。だから橋本さんがどこか違うところに行きたくなったんだったらどこへでも行く。
うん。ちょっと出ようか。
ダメだダメだ。帰ってくれ。
うん。帰ってくれ。
うちは飯屋だ。あんたらの仕事場にされちゃ迷惑なんだよ。
そんなマスター、ね、協力してくれた。
OK。
すまなかったね。マスターの言う通りだ。
うん。
言ってよ。なんか言ってよ。ねえ、どうしたの？なんか言ってよ。黙ってたら何もわかんないよ。
黙ってたらなんか。See if that's a full phrase.
黙ってたら何もわかんないよ。橋本さんがどんな人なのか、何考えてるのか。
そうと。
俺許そうと思ったんだ。
うん。
女房が他に男を作った時、本当にそいつのこと好きなら俺別れてやろうって。でもやっぱり男の顔見たら我慢できなくて、気づいたら罵ってた。
feel like 大声で非難する。罵る。Like yelling at? Screamed at. Basically just profaned or screamed at or verbally abused. 気づいたら罵していた。
我慢できなくて気づいたら罵ってた。向こうが掴みかかってきて、
掴みかけて、手に激しく。Okay, grabbed it, okay.
俺真っ白になって。
Completely white? What? 真っ白になって。
必死で突き飛ばして
Charge that.
店飛び出した。次の日新聞でそいつが死んだの知った。
うん。
怖くなって無我夢中で逃げた。
無我夢中。物事の心を奪われて。That's about right? Yeah, わお、忘れた。うん。Okay, so blacked out. Fled in panic. Yeah, okay. Okay. 無我夢中で。So that right there. 無我夢中で逃げた。怖くなって無我夢中で逃げた。
怖くなって無我夢中で逃げた。けど1年前なんでかわかんないけどこの町に戻ってきた。 どっかでもう終わりにしたいって思ってたのかもしれないな。
ねえ、橋本さん、一緒に逃げよう。
Whoa, maybe don't out for that.
しょうがなかったんだよ。橋本さんのせいじゃない。
もうやってる頃かな、あの食堂。
これから毎日私が冷やし中華作ってあげる。
じゃあさ、
何それ。
ひとみちゃん、でもひとみちゃん料理下手だからな。
何それ。
じゃあさ、最後にお手本食べてから。最後にお手本食べてからこの町出ようか。
早く。逃げて。早く逃げて。
相変わらず冷やし中華が好きな猿橋。相変わらず冷やし中華が好きなんだな。
一つだけお願いしても。最後に一つだけお願いしてもいいですか。
いらっしゃい。
マスター、冷やし中華2つだ。
あいよ。はい、お待ち。
ひとみちゃん、ごめんな。ありがと
う。真冬に冷やし中華の食べるもんじゃないよね。錦と卵。錦と卵。Oh, okay. Wait a minute. Is that the little strips of egg? Kinshi. Okay, so kinshi tamago. Yeah, the thin omelet cut, the narrow strips. Yeah. They usually go, with the thin slices of ham and cucumber and the egg. Yeah, it's just mixing it with the. It's also good for somen, like you mix it into the sauce that you'll be dipping with the somen in, and then take it all out together. But that's a good meal. So, yeah, okay. Yashuka. All right, I'll remember that. I was just thinking of it as just being cold ramen. Okay, this was a full. Kimeta, Yashuka.
なんて食べる。真冬に冷やし中華なんて食べるもんじゃないよね。
錦糸卵って
Basically saying kind of gave himself away by in the cold of winter at ordering that. Now I'll well, let me finish this part. We are going to talk about that. But 錦糸卵って。
錦糸卵ってきれいに作るの難しいですよね。
まずは白身が残らないよう。
白身。The white parts of the egg. 残らないよ。
卵をしっかり溶き。まずは白身が残らないよう卵をしっかり溶きましょう。
Okay. Really? Okay.
卵は弱めの火で縁が固まるまで。
縁で。That's supposed to be a affinity for. The edge on the brink of the hem. Okay. Okay. 縁で。
卵は弱めの火で縁が固まるまで焦らず待ちましょ
具材をきれいに切り揃えたら流水で麺のぬめりを取って
流水で麺にぬめり
流水で麺のぬめりを取って氷水で締めます。最後に水気をしっかり切るのが美味しさのポイントです。
最後に水気をしっかり。
最後に水気をしっかり切るのが美味しさのポイントです。
よし。
ではおやすみなさい。
Okay, cool. Alrighty. Yeah, and yeah, my wife's made that now and again. It's yeah. So I actually like it. Plus with the little ginger, add a little ginger. I think that kind of works. You know, ramen goes well. Ginger goes well with a lot of things, but yeah, it goes well with that quite also. I think she also adds a little bit of crab. A little bit of crab meat goes well with that as well. So you can mix it together. And like I said, I prefer that over. Yeah, I personally I think I prefer to have like cold soba, somen, ramen, not udon. Udon, whether hot or cold, I just not a fan of the flavor. Not a fan of the flavor. Anyway, let's get out of this part. As far as the story, you know, because I was kind of mentioning that it's like, well, that's how some like Ted Kaczynski, he got caught because of some weird phrase he used, because of the phrase he used in his what's the term for it? But yeah, his manifesto. You know, like going back to the original term was supposed to say you can't eat your cake and we always say you can't have your cake and eat it too. You know, where actually the saying that makes more sense is like you can't eat your cake and have it too. You know, you can't eat it today and expect to have it tomorrow, if that makes sense. But yeah. So yeah, you can't eat your cake, have it too. He would say that and said in his manifesto that, and I guess his brother, when he had read the manifesto on when it was made public by the FBI, in order to hopefully get maybe some clues from people who might know who this Unabomber was, the brother kind of honed in on that one particular use of a phrase that he realized was something that his brother would say, and then that was enough to start at least doing an initial, maybe a more initial investigation to say, okay, is there more to this than just the fact of a brother just, you know, somebody just happened to use a phrase in an odd way? Cool. So they go and check on that. I'm sure other things as well, like just small little things that, you know, someone who's on the run or someone who's a fugitive, but, you know, some type of character trait that could like pinpoint, like this is who that person is. Now, there's some things that are saying in, I think if you watch the way in which purchasings are tracked now, your personality can be tracked based on, you know, Google could probably say, even if you went completely anonymous, let's say you said, okay, got rid of it, you started on some brand new computer, brand new account, everything. Once you start looking up stuff or purchasing stuff, Google or some other search engines or anything that's tracking of anything that you do on the internet, which is again a very common thing to do now, can probably to a certain degree of reliability figure out who you are based, even though everything you're doing is technically anonymous. You haven't attached it to any other previous known life, because of your personality traits are still the same. What you find interesting, how you find it, how you maybe go from page to page, small stuff like that. If that's the things that they're willing to use some type of algorithm or AI to track, they can essentially find out who you are just on that. Now that'll definitely be the same with postings. Like they could probably, with just a few of your posts with enough verbiage, figure out like who you are, even though you're maybe posting anonymously. So obviously we're not talking about, all you're doing is just talking in memes and, yelling at people, because, but somebody like me who has written over the decades online, I'm pretty sure with a few things, you could probably, like, if I tried to type anything anonymously, if they wanted to, they could probably, based on what I do write anonymously, if I write enough of it, they're going to be able to make enough connections, say, yeah, well, most likely it's this group of people, if not this one person who is the author who is the anonymous author. And it's kind of scary to think about. So I can imagine that. I mean, here in the story, it was, human intellect and like kind of honing in on the fact that it had to be this one person. And I liked how the master realized, like, yeah, they were doing this on purpose. This wasn't by chance. And yeah, it turned out to be right. Now, I don't know if the guys did it or didn't do it. Again, he never faced justice. And unfortunately, I hate to say it, I mean, that just because you're arrested doesn't mean, just because it's called the justice system, even in Japan, doesn't mean it's, justice is happening. That's just the name. Again, this is a government where they can arrest you, I think, for 26 days, and they don't have to tell anyone. Like, I don't even know if they don't even have to let you talk to a lawyer or something. They get a certain number of days alone with you, to try to basically force confessions out of you. Not necessarily now. I mean, I don't think they do it by abuse anymore. They used to. I mean, yeah. I mean, they'd have it where police officers would essentially beat confessions out of people. That was same in Japan. And it was kind of weird. Like, you have people who confess to murders or something, but then a real killer got caught. Like, well, what about this? Okay, well, so why did this guy who didn't do it, obviously, because we found out who did do it, why did he confess? Well, because he was beat the shit out of them to make them confess. That sort of thing. Again, that's not justice. But, but I will say, like, at least as far as this story is concerned, the guy did his job and everything. Maybe, again, unfortunately, that's just like a lot of people maybe like that did something in the heat of the moment, not acting rationally, not thinking, just something snapped. And you'd hate to think like that's someone who needs to go to jail for the rest of their life, because again, sometimes it is that whole thing about one bad day, and obviously someone ended up dead, so that's a very, very bad day. But it's like, it's not someone who does it out of habit. It's not something that, like, it probably would have been, who knows, like, it could have been what the person did had no intent to kill, but somehow that happens. That's where they call, like, the eggshell skull theory of law, where it doesn't matter, you hit the person, that person died. It doesn't matter, you didn't realize the person had an eggshell for a skull and the slightest damage would kill them. Okay, sorry, but you're the one who threw the punch, so you're the one who's guilty. You can tell I watched maybe too much Legal Eagle YouTube channel, but it's a good channel, so I like the idea of, I've got zero interest. Well, actually, I take that back. I'm never going to study the law to become any type of profession, but it's still of interest to hear some of the theories that go behind it. The small stuff like that, but that can apply. So it doesn't matter. Again, you're at fault. Now, and again, you can say, well, the guy, was he in the right state of mind? I mean, this is like temporary insanity. I mean, again, that's like, I've had not like violently hurt somebody, but I just meant though where it just felt like you didn't realize what you were doing. Like it was something snapped. That you can have sort of a situation like that where you feel like you've had zero conscious control over what was happening. That could be like, you hear some stories, like, because in the Navy, usually the rumor, the stuff that, the locker room lawyers would say, or the barracks lawyers would say, is like, oh, if anything happens within 10 seconds of waking up, you're not responsible for it. You know, so if if they wake you up and you punch them, they can't hold you accountable for it. Not really true, but I mean, I wouldn't want to test that theory. But they don't have to take you to a court. You know, again, that's the reason why in the military we have what's called NJP, office hours, non-judicial punishment, captain's call, or what's it, captain? What's it called? Whatever. So it's where, again, that's a pseudo legal. It's basically, again, so it has no type of criminal charge applied to it. It's just, but again, it's just a corrective measure. So they can use that. They don't have to have they don't have to have beyond a reasonable doubt. They just need preponderance of the evidence for that. Now, unless you're at sea, you know, then really what you could do is like you could ask for a court martial if you want. You have that right. Again, unless you're on a seagoing command or in some other situations like that. I don't know why I'm saying all this. It's just that it's, but it goes back to, you know, doing acts where assuming this guy was telling the truth, obviously it's a story, but let's just assume he was telling the truth. Again, he doesn't remember it, you know, but he got afraid. Someone he had a fight with ended up dying. He ran. Okay. And maybe he just decided he just didn't want to run anymore. Maybe he came close to meeting he came very close, maybe in 1 week of the, what's called the, was it Jika or Jiko, which is the statute of limitations, which exists in Japan. I think even for murder, which sounds odd. Like in the U.S., there's no statute of limitations for certain crimes, you know, rape, murder being the most obvious, being the one. Which makes sense. The reason why you want statute of limitations is about witnesses. How can the state, you know, reasonably give evidence, you know, after such a long time? But you know, I think witnesses are usually what you'll find out. My understanding within the court of law, witnesses are overrated. Yeah, they sell great to the jury, but as far as dependability, you definitely want evidence. It's circumstantial evidence. You know, obviously there we know, hey, these two had a fight. Obviously there was connection between it, and again, jealousy over, you know, the wife's affair. He probably recalls actually having the confrontation. Later, this person ends up dead. That's probably a lot of evidence. There was probably witnesses to that as well, but also physical evidence to go with it. I think that's reasonable. But yeah, but with statute of limitations, it's just not maybe work on the idea that, like, again, there's like a limit of what evidence can be. But you know what? With murder, like I think it was Green River Killer. Again, they were through, I think it was 21andMe or 23andMe, whatever the DNA stuff. They found a family member that DNA that matched very closely to what the DNA was found in this person in the trunk of this person was found dead. Cool, and they made a match. So they said, okay, well, the nearest relative that kind of fits the type of person who was in the area at the time would, okay, so they did further searching. Yeah, and then they were able to get a DNA sample through a court order, my understanding, and then that's where they were able to actually press charges, and yeah, he's in jail for murder from something that happened like decades ago. Whereas and again, it had nothing to do with witnesses. It was just the fact that his DNA was in the trunk of a car that was abandoned with a dead body in it. All right, that's a lot of circumstantial evidence. Here's the thing about in Japan, though. In Japan, you could have it where a lady could be dead, stuffed into a locker, and that guy's not accused of murder because they couldn't say that he was the one who murdered her. They can only say he was the one who stuffed her in the locker. Sounds like, okay, it's pretty good evidence, and I'm not making this up. This apparently wasn't the first time he did it. So it's like, it was the fact that this was a second time. So do a search for, like, you know, Japanese man, locker, body stuffed into it. Maybe something like that. You know, and it's just a very unusual. There's some other usual stories. I think, yeah, there are some unusual crimes that happen in Japan. I think they can give Florida man a run for his money, but they are much more, the ones that are like, they're like almost scary and frightening, especially a few of those stories. So careful about if you search for those. But yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry about going off on this rant or this spiel. It just, I think it's kind of interesting when you think about it. You know, this is a good story. I kind of saw it how, this lady who was going toward younger men that was like much more energetic and exciting, and then she went for an older gentleman who was a lot more reserved. And I actually kind of had a connection with him. But unfortunately, he had a history that just meant that they couldn't stay together in a way. Obviously, a little bit more to it than that. So it's kind of sad, but yeah, it just, maybe something of that nature might happen, it might be. But, yeah, it's a good story. Yeah, and a lot of these stories are good. I think there might be a few that I don't care for, if I think about it. But because they're so episodic, I'm just thinking of the ones that are good, that I wouldn't mind watching again. And what's kind of cool is, like, if you don't like it, fast forward to the next one. It's like Love, Death, and Robots or whatever it is, or a few other shows. Just, yeah, there's no reason you don't have to watch these in order, because there is no order. You see it like it's jumps time. And it's fun that way. Anyway, I'm going to call that a day. Thank you all very much. Obviously, there was no comments. I don't know if anybody's even watching. Let me check real quick. Oh, wow, 4 people are watching. Hey, guys. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you like the series, subscribe to see more. If you enjoy what I'm helping, the Let's Learn Japanese project, what I'm doing to help Japanese learning, there's the Patreon if you want to join that to support that way. Also, there's link in the description. There's links to the website, the community Discord, and finally, if you like, there's a direct link to, if you want to hire me on commission, the hourly rates and the payment are done via Patreon. But by commission, what I mean usually it's technical assistance or advice. Either an hour or 2 to get you started, help you find out maybe some of the resources or tools that can actually get you on the pathway if you're having some difficulty, you're starting off, or maybe making a shift, between different sections. Yeah. Cool. Thank you all very much. It's been fun, and I'll see you in the next episode. That'll probably be tomorrow. Let's go there. Yeah, so this video will be made public. I'll be making it private right after this live stream, but it will be made public again on July the 29th. All right, and I'll be finishing up tomorrow, probably the last 2 episodes of this season, and starting on Kyo and NG one of these days, either Friday or Saturday. No, probably not Saturday, but yeah, one of these days. All right. Anyway, thank you all very much, and see you next time.